Morning, everybody. It is 8:10 a.m. September 4th. Welcome to my channel. It is Thursday. Yesterday was a day we moved up, specifically in the Nasdaq, with the help of Google. I said in my channel yesterday that Google actually hit its expected move to the upside, and that it's like 228 around 229. So if we're going on probabilities, it doesn't have much room more to the upside. However, that's 70%, right? So it can move higher, but most likely it won't. Okay. And yesterday I had a pretty nice short yesterday. I waited for that all morning. Um, Originally, I wanted to short at like 64.60s. That would have been a nice one as well. Um, but then I finally got what I wanted to see, and really that key level, that 23450 in the Nasdaq, really helped my trade. They had a bearish imbalance to the profile in the Nasdaq, and the internals were never strong, never. So those internals are really key because they always let me know what the market's capable of. And yesterday, that move up, I was like, man, there's no strength in this move up. And then it could not find acceptance over that 234,550. However, okay, the profiles in the Nasdaq, in the ES, got pretty balanced. Once it made that move lower, I got out of my trade, and it would have hit my target lower. That would have been even more of a monster. I'll take 3R or 300%, however you want to take that return on a trade. I'm actually working on my execution strategy. I am now basically, I look for a 3-to-1 target, and I'm collecting data on that currently. Now, if there's a target that I feel is realistic, I will go for 4R, 5R. But right now, I want to really lock in the math and make sure that, my one risk will pay for three losers. So I really want to lock that in, and then I'll look at data for that and think if I want to take parcels or stuff like that. But right now, it's like I'm all in, all out. Like I said yesterday, the market, I want to explain something. The balance profiles yesterday. When you have a balanced profile and market internals, and I'll get into this in a little bit about the Vol-D. Vol-D is ratios going in, buying volume going into up stocks versus down stocks. It's a good little indicator to have on your charts, because when the ratios are like a 1-to-1, you usually don't get an outsized move. Plus, when profiles are balanced, they look like a bell curve, the auction's usually complete. Okay, that's why yesterday after my trade, I said we could move lower, but probably the range is in for today. And then what happened? Towards the end of the session, we ripped up. That was not a surprise. Okay, that was not a surprise. Now, today, the ES is battling ultimate balance, 64.70. It's not able to get over it right now. Okay, so that's the key levels we're going to go into. The 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros have been taken back in the Nasdaq. Okay, we have Broadcom's earnings after the close. That is a decent weight in the QQQ. Okay, and the semis. I believe it's 1%, over 1%. Now, so that's what's going on today. We have Services PMI, ISM at 10 a.m. Okay, we did have ADP employment change at 8:15. It comes out in a minute, so we might hear some alarms go off. What are we expecting? Consensus 65K. That's going to drop in literally about 5 seconds from now. Let's see if that gets a market reaction. I just want to see if I hear any large orders. There it is. Numbers just came out. Let's see what that produces here. Right now, the market's getting a little pop. All right, so just for this ADP employment change, you're expecting 65K. We got 54. 54. So it's a miss. Yesterday, Joel's jobs also were disappointing. Less jobs openings. Okay. And that's where we're at, folks. Didn't get the best sleep last night, so hopefully I don't make any brain fogs here. Let's get right into it. Welcome to my channel. My name is Steven Gonzalez. I use market profile, volume profile to find structure in the markets, along with supply and demand, gamma exposure levels, the most traded price of the year, the month, the week, and the previous day. That is my edge. I also use anchored VWAPs and my trusty market internals. All right. And my new baby, the Bookmap. Bookmap. So I basically, Bookmap has totally changed my execution, and I'm dialing in that risk with Bookmap. So that's really been helping me out. So basically, when I win a trade, it's a minimum 3-1. So that is working out mighty fine, right? So in the past, just a little color on that. I would do a risk to reward calculation most times for my trades, but sometimes it wasn't always. Right? What does that mean? Right? What does that mean? So every trader should do this before they put a trade on. Figure out if the risk to reward makes sense. Right? So yesterday when I was in that trade, I had a 4-point risk looking for a 12-point target. I said to myself, I know the level around 64.50, not 64.50. Let me get you that level real quick. Not 64.50. It was around 64.25, 26 area, right? I knew that could be my target, but because the profile was balanced and I didn't know how much downside because we weren't that weak, that's why I went for the 12 point. If that 12 point was closer, I mean, if the 26s was a closer level to my target, like a 12 point, I would have stretched it out and got a bigger return. But that's what you really should do in a trade, right? So what's changed in my execution is I don't enter a trade unless it matches my risk to reward. That's been a big change. So like I'll have to only say this market has to come here for more for me. Like yesterday, I had to get a little pullback into my 4-point risk territory. Otherwise, I have no trade. Now, and when you do that, you become the casino, right? Because the only thing we can control is our risk. So that's very key change. It's not, I would say, easy all the time to do that because like you miss out on some things. Or like I'm thinking about getting in a trade, it goes right to the level I want, and I don't have the quick. I didn't get in quick, and then it falls, and I'm like, oh boy, and then I don't chase. That's another rule I have. So you just watch it go. Now, so lately, I sometimes if I'm very confident, I'll just put a limit order, so it hits my limit order, and I get my risk to the tick. So I will be making a video on that trade that I did. Like I said, I'm still batting around the idea because making it under a minute sometimes is like very constraining. A long form video wouldn't be that much longer, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 minutes, whatever. Where I have time, I'm not scrunching in, is much easier. But I am going to make a video, so if anybody's curious on why I took that trade, all right, and the importance of charting in NASDAQ and ES, because if I didn't know the NASDAQ levels, I would have not taken that trade. Okay? All right, enough of that. Like I said, didn't get the best sleep, so hopefully I'm coming off clear. And as always, subscribe, set an alert to my channel. I give you the market story. Let me be your podcast. Let me be your morning coffee, your tea, water, whatever you like to drink, and I give you the news, the economic calendar, and why the market's doing what it's doing. All right? Give you all that information. Then I follow it up with a bunch of technical analysis. And then we get into the market profile and volume profile. And I give you long and short trade scenarios. Okay? So hopefully you sign up, join the community, join my channel. All right? Now, if you want more in-depth coverage, all right, that's my Discord, Confluence Trading. All right? Go to my YouTube homepage, sign up, join the community. Okay? You will not regret that. Okay? Trust me, you will not regret that. And if you go to my community, right, and I feel like I'm giving a lot of information of what I'm seeing, right, as the market goes. So this particular, like yesterday, right? Wait, hold on. Let me see if this was yesterday. Nope. Okay. So yesterday, see, I'm automatically around 9:45. I let the dust settle a little bit, and I give my feelings on the markets here, right? It was at 10 a.m. And that, then I'm saying the market's disconnected. Internals have turned negative at 9:55. You can see right here, internals turn negative. Okay, then I was like, I'm eyeing shorts, and then I gave a video. Okay, I gave a video of what I'm seeing. All right. Then I talked about a 64.60 trade I missed, and then I took a trade, put it in the trades channel. So right here, you can see here, yesterday at 1:25 p.m., I took that short. Okay, then I moved my stop to break even, adjusted my target, and then my target was hit. So that's a 3-hour trade. All right, and then I gave you guys a video on why I took the trade. Little short video, okay? And I'm trying to do more stuff like that, audio messages, videos. I feel like they're very informative instead of me just typing. Let me know if you are in the community, if that does help. All right, now, of course, always go to my weekly expected move channel, and you can see the Confluence Trading expected moves right here. It's free. Put it on your charts. I already showed you the SPX hit its expected move to the downside on Tuesday, and then the markets went up from there. Google's hit its expected move to the upside. As far as any other stocks, I don't believe that I track anything has hit the expected move besides SPX and Google. But that's what's going on there. So feel free to join. All right. Let me be your indicator. I feel like I give a lot of information. All right. I'll never steer you wrong. All right. Let's go into futures. All right. 30-year bonds are being bought this morning. That should send yields a little lower. Okay. Nasdaq's up 0.17, dollar's up 0.14, Russell's up 0.13, ES up 0.11. The Dow's flat, VIX is down 0.37, 10-year yield's down 0.57. Oh, it's actually under 4.2 yield. Gold up down 0.74, crude down 1%. Crude really, after that initial lift, it's been down. Okay, silver down 1%, Bitcoin's down 1.20%, Ethereum down 1.51%. Let's get into the Mag 7 Plus here. Amazon is really getting love today. All right. They're up 2.26%. Meta's up 1.57%. Now, I believe Trump's having some kind of AI meeting or something like that with heads of these major tech companies. So Meta's up 1.57%. Tesla's up almost 1%. Broadcom reports earnings after the close. They're up 0.69. Nvidia's up 0.16. Let's go down. There's any laggards. Microsoft down 2.26. Apple's down 0.53. Google's down 0.70. AMD is the laggard, down 1.22%. The only thing on this list here is Salesforce reported earnings, and they're down 6.16%. They are down 6.1%. So now let's get into a little granular list here. T. Rowe Price, they are up 7.81. GPC, I want to say that's Garmin. I could be wrong about that. Up 3.48. HIMS up 1.66. Laggards. AI down 14.81%. Believe they got a downgrade. So, or a price target change. All right, so that's the granular list. Moving on here. The sectors. All right, discretionary up 0.71. That's your Tesla, your Amazon. Okay, financials up 0.17. The laggard is the technology. The laggard is technology. All right, that would be your weakness in Microsoft, Apple. Okay, so that's not very weak though. It's down 0.15. So it's not really that big of a deal. Now, moving on to some economic calendars, which we already just witnessed earlier. All right, so what do we got today? We already had the ADP. All right, we are going to have ISM Services, okay, at 10 a.m. So if I am not in a trade by 9:45, I probably will wait for the dust to settle after this number is released. Okay, after this number is released. Now, what else is on our calendar today? Let's look at the juice. Let's look at the juice. I'll just refresh this here. All right. We have, let's see if they need Trump today. Oh, we actually have S&P Services PMI final at 9:45. Um, let's see. Trump hosts a dinner. All right. Fed Williams speaks at 12:05. All right. Um, let's see here. That's all from there. Now let's go to see some stock news. Let's see if we can pull up some stock. Give me 1 second here. Usually, here we go. All right, shares in Salesforce fell by more than 6% in pre-market trading after the enterprise software giant's quarterly results disappointed investor expectations. HP Enterprise gained more than 4% on strong demand for its servers. All right, here's the thing. C3.ai, ticker AI, dropped sharply on a disappointing second quarter outlook from the software company. It also unveiled an executive level shakeup. American Eagle shares soared by more than 26% as an advertising campaign featuring actress Sydney Sweeney helped fuel better than expected sales. That's crazy. That is crazy. That they bucked the trend of the woke culture and just decided to put like a pretty American girl who's fit, and boom. Next thing you know, they're blowing up. That's pretty crazy. Um, all right, moving on here. Let's see more news here. Trump takes tariffs fight to U.S. Supreme Court. Fed independence in focus as U.S. Senate holds hearing on Trump nominee Miran. Chinese firms still want NVIDIA chips despite government pressure not to buy. Salesforce shares drop. We already talked about that. NASDAQ proposes tighter listing rules for thinly traded stocks, China-based firms. All right, let's see what's going on with Amazon. Okay. Amazon said that it has completed the acquisition of a Bangalore-based non-banking lender, Axio, for an undisclosed amount, securing access to a direct lending business in India. Axio, a 12-year-old fintech lender, offers financial products and services to both retail consumers and small businesses, focusing on digital credit and money management solutions. The firm had a loan book of around 251.4 million for the first quarter ended June, said Gaurav Hinduja, a co-founder at Axio. The deal will help Amazon expand its fintech operations in India, where it has secured approvals to issue payment wallets and sell insurance policies on its online marketplace. I'm assuming this is why Amazon is getting love. Okay. What else here? Interesting. American Bitcoin Corp. A Bitcoin company tied to President Donald Trump's two oldest sons more than doubled its value in its stock market debut on Wednesday, valuing the Sun stake at well over 1.5 billion as the first family grows their crypto business interest. Shares in the Bitcoin miner soared as high as $14.52 in its first day of trade on the Nasdaq, before pulling back to 16.5. The company is around 20% owned by Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr. American Bitcoin executive chairman Asher Ganoot said in a previous interview, "These values their stake. This values their stake in American Bitcoin at 1.5 billion at the close of trade." Interesting. Interesting. Right? Let's see if there's anything else. No. Okay, it says Nvidia Corp, Alibaba, ByteDance, and the other Chinese tech firms remain keen on Nvidia's artificial intelligence chips. We talked about that. Let's see. Dollar Tree's Jeffries cuts target price 110 from 130. Macy's Jeffries raises target price to 1850 from 1450. Piper Sandler cuts target price of Salesforce to 315 from 335. Okay, let's move on. What should we look at? Let's look at a little breadth. Let's look at a little breadth indicator here. 52%. 52% of stocks in the S&P 500 out of 500 stocks are over a simple day 20 moving average. That is right in the middle, folks. Market's right in the middle. All right, 50% above it, 50% below it. That's a right in the middle market. Okay. Let's look at some upgrades, downgrades. This has been disappointing lately. I might just cut doing this, but I always like to see it. Let's see. Apple got an upgrade from sell to neutral. That's not boosting the price much today. What else? Downgrades. We got Duolingo got a downgrade. What else here? That's about it. Texas Roadhouse downgraded. All right. Let's move on. Let's move on, folks. We are going to get into market internals from yesterday. I already talked about it a little bit, but that's my baby. It's my bread and butter. All right. We'll do a little market internals recap here. This will be included in my video of why I shorted the ES yesterday. Okay. Now, of course, the market ripped into the close, right? But that wasn't the story. The story was here. Now, you have to understand, look at the market ripping up, right? Now, the NASDAQ was stronger, right? But look at the market. It was below zero. This is market internals. That's the only positivity you got. And then the market started to get weak and weak and weak. And tech actually was weak at this moment. And I was like, you know what? I kind of want to be short today. I kind of would like to get an opportunity to short this market. Okay. So right in here is where I shorted. This is SPX, but this is basically where I shorted. And then it went down, right? And in SPX, it actually went down to the previous day's highs. Okay. Previous day's highs. So that's basically the gist of it. It just wasn't strong. And I got to call the market's bluff when it happens a lot. Okay, if I show you this little here, this was the session yesterday. When it was up here, the NASDAQ, I was like, these internals are not strong. I said it in my Discord. These internals are not strong. Okay. So I was all about shorting. And at the time, the profiles were very balanced. Okay. Now, just real quick, I can show you right here. Look at the profile from yesterday. Okay. Very balanced. So that's why when we came down here to last week's, that was last week's lows. Yeah, that was bought up into this demand zone. Also hit the month to date, week to date anchored VWAP. Same with the NASDAQ. Once it made that move lower, the profile was pretty balanced. Okay. Also, VWAP was very flat. It's another tip. Whenever you have a flat VWAP, right, that's a tip that you're most likely going to range bound. Okay. You can just see here, I'll just give you a quick shot of the SPY and QQQ here. You can see the VWAP, which is this hot pink line, pretty flat. Okay. So once it's a flat VWAP, you're most likely going to range. All right. So it's a little tip. That's like I said, price action. All right. Price action. If we go to hourly charts here, right here, just to show you real quick. This was yesterday's session, right? If you looked at that price action, you're gonna go and say, "Oh my God, we're weak, we're falling." But internals weren't that weak, and we had a balanced profile coming into this big demand zone. Last week's anchor VWAP from this. I mean, there was a lot of stuff there. Okay, there was a lot of stuff there. No, I got into a little bit of a rant there. And just another thing here. Still the summer, I guess, is over in a way. People are back to school. Um, this market, every day, there's some weirdness still. There's a weirdness. It's like a disconnect. There's this pushing and this is not. It makes it hard to really not read. I'm never lost of reading it, but it's finding a setup. That's what gets me being so picky. So that's like where I'm finding it a little difficult to get my setup I want. Not reading the market. Reading it is like second nature to me. I'm always like, ooh, I this should happen, right? Like this should happen, and it does a lot of times, but sometimes it doesn't go to where I want to hit my limit order, or like I'm like, man, I like there was that 6460 yesterday I wanted to short, and it wasn't setting up exactly like I want it, and this, like I said, this market is difficult to execute on for my strategy because I'm picky, but that's the way you got to be. All right. Now, we're going to go into the hourly charts real quick. We're going to go over the big levels that I talked about yesterday. All right. And I even called the range yesterday pre-market. I called the range. I said what the range should be. All right. So this is your hourly charts. Okay. I said most likely the range. Called it. Okay. So prior to the market, I said 6470s to here would be the range today. Well, yesterday. Well, that was the range. That was the range. Okay. 6470s ultimate balance. Write it down. It's the most important level on your chart. 6470. It's the most traded price of the rolling month and the rolling week. Okay. Look at the markets. It can't get over it right now. Below this line in your ES, you have to be bearish in the macro picture. Okay? The ES has to prove itself over 6470 to find acceptance for me to be like, okay, now we can possibly go higher again. Okay? So that's how I use these levels. Right? This is the barometer to tell me, is the market going to go possibly higher? And acceptance means you break it and you sit there and we just hold above it. Then you could possibly go higher, right? Well, what's the alternative? If you keep failing or you go like this, can't find acceptance, retest, yeah, we're going to take out all this. Okay? That's how you have to look at those levels, right? Now, of course, you could see this as resistance here on an hourly chart and be like, oh, yeah, I see that. But it makes it more powerful when this resistance is also the most traded price of the last month and the last week. It's ultimate balance. Moves away from ultimate balance are huge. They're huge. Okay, so if we coil here, right, what's going to happen if we go away from it? Big move. Big move. Okay, I would say I would favor like a little bias to the downside, maybe because of this month. Okay, now moving on to the Nasdaq. Also, just real quickly, I put an anchor VWAP from this buyer here, and look where it happened. Came right into here with last week's lows. Confluence with the month-to-date VWAP, the anchor VWAP with last week's lows. See, I'm not called Confluence Trainer for nothing. Okay, a lot of confluence. I love when all those things line up because it just makes things more powerful. It gives you more confidence. Okay, now your Nasdaq. Your Nasdaq. The level that yesterday I was so focused on was your 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. This is your most traded price of the rolling week. Okay, now initially, the market ripped yesterday up. Guess where it went to? The anchor VWAP for the all-time highs. Pretty interesting, right? That anchored VWAP came into this supply zone. Okay, then we dipped. Right? Remember the 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. Well, look what happened. Market tried to go back over it again and failed. Market tried to go over it again and failed. There's my short. That's why I shorted. I knew that level and the market was not strong. Okay. Now, 236 is still our most traded price of the rolling month. Inside here is not a great area to be in because you're in the middle of ultimate balance. 23450 is the most traded price of the week. 236 is the most traded price of the rolling month. We are in the middle. We could go like this before we make a decision. So above 236, got to be bullish in the NASDAQ. Below 23450s, you got to think more bearish. Okay, you can see yesterday from that anchored VWAP from these lows, it held the NASDAQ. Also last week's lows. Also week to date, month to date anchored VWAP. And demand. Confluence in its finest form. Okay, so can the NASDAQ hold 23450s today? I don't know. Okay, and yesterday's most traded price is right under here, so it even makes it more powerful. If we take these lows out and hold it there, boom, you're probably going there. Take that out, you're probably going there. Okay, that is your hourly charts. Moving on to dailies. That's a drop on SPY. What does that mean? Elaborate on that, Chief. 841, you just said that's a drop on SPY. I mean, if you're talking, we're still above yesterday's close. And I know why you're talking like that, Miss AMD puts. But that doesn't really mean much right now. I mean, you're at yesterday's highs. I mean, so right now there's not the AMD, yeah. But AMD, be honest with you, if you looked at a daily chart, right at the 50-day moving average, right at a big key support. So that has a lot of work to do to take that out. But it might. I don't know. All right, moving on. Miss Humble over here that their AMD puts, letting the world know. Let's move on. Let's go to daily charts. Let's go to daily charts. All right. Here's your SPX. Now remember the SPX. What did it do? Hit its expected move to the downside, right? Did that on Tuesday. Look what we've done since then. Whoop, whoop. Right? Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. I don't know why the chief hasn't put that on our charts yet. I mean, you could tell me you're busy, but it takes about, I don't know, a couple minutes to put it on your chart. So here's SPY. All right. So there's last week's lows. We were back into last week's range. Remember I talked about the mouth yesterday? There's that mouth. Right? There's Friday's close, that black line. Where are we now? 644s. We are right at the highs of yesterday. Now remember what I said yesterday. All right? As far as the market goes, right? We're in the middle of garbage. Okay, look at this box here. Look at all that trading that's happened here from the past, and we're right here. This is not a great place to be. It's going to be indecisive. It's going to be chop city. Trust me, it's not a great place to be. Okay, it's just not. That's why the 6470 is there. Okay, because it's telling me we're at the most traded price of the month in a week. Right? I can see this visually here just to tell you, but I didn't have confirmation on my other chart that I just showed you, right? So if we go to futures, right, 6470s, you can see it. It's right here. That's the most traded price of the last month and the last week. You can see it here. Look at all of that traffic there, right? So here's your ES, and where are we? In the mouth of the 90 EMA daily and 20-day simple moving average, and they're both kind of flat, right? That tells you all you want to see, all you need to know as well. 20-day moving average, it's slightly sloped to the upside. 90 EMA daily, kind of flattening out. It's telling you the market is like sideways, doesn't know what it really wants. Okay, so that's what's going on. What's going on with Qs now? Qs had some relative strength yesterday with Google and Apple. But look at this. Broke this trend line. That trend line is done. Let's get that out of there. Went into the mouth. Right there. Right. There's Friday's close. Back into last week's range. Where are we now? 570.50. We are right at the upper third of yesterday's range. At the upper third. Okay. Remember I told you. Look at all the crap here too. All the trading that's happened. Okay. We're just in the middle of the muddle here. Right? Not a great place to be. Let's go with the futures. Here's the futures inside last week's range. Couldn't take out that 50-day moving average. Right? Now we're just kind of ranging here. Look at all this trade here above us. Remember I just talked about the 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros and the 2, 3, 6s. 2, 3, 6s is the most traded price of the last month. So just look at that. You're in the matter of gobbledygook. And what do we have tomorrow? Non-farm payrolls and unemployment. That is the big data for the week. Okay, so today might be a chop fest, it might be a barcode, it might not be the best trading environment. Right? All right, now I'm going to skip the triple-headed monster because there's no need to talk about that. They're not doing much. All right, we're going to go back into the market profile, volume profile. Let me just go to my workspace here, and we'll check it out. We'll analyze it. Let's get that the trusty marker here. And let's see what we have going here. Now, look at this profile from the weekly profile here. So we have not the best excess down there. Then we got value area. Then we have a little bit of excess to the top here. Right? Now, 6470 is the RTH, which is real-time trading hours, 9:30 to 4:15, 6470. 6450 has turned into the 24-hour most traded price of the week. Right there. That's yesterday's most traded price, to be exact. All right. Now, we have a very squat kind of looking profile. All right. In the overnight, we were gapping up earlier, and check this out, folks. We have a poor high and a poor low. You have a triple bottom 30-minute bars. That is a very poor structure here. Overnight low 64, 54, 75s has a triple bottom in a 30-minute bars. That's all the market profile is. Look at that triple bottom. That just means shorts had bad location there. Okay? Shorts had bad location. Okay? So, and we also have a double top here. Though one of those is going to get fixed. Okay? One of those is going to get fixed. Okay? And we're battling our 6470 level. Right? Remember, that's the ultimate balance. Okay? So, this is the level. That is the monster. 6470. And your overnight highs, that's 6473 and a half. That's your poor high. You got a big POC here, 6466s. Okay? And you have this poorish low. Poor low here. Okay? Markets don't like to end without excess. Okay? So, I'm going to mark off this level here. 6450s in this demand zone. Okay. What else we got? Oh, look at this level here. So you have what I like to call a confluence low here. 6426s, which I said would be the low of rest of today's range. We have a demand zone here. You have last week's low. You got the anchored view up from the month to date and week to date there. All right. That is what I'm looking at today. Okay. This is what I'm looking at. Let's break out the profile. Okay, that's the price action. That's the price action. Let's see if we can set this to background. Set this to the background so we get some price action here. Okay. Now, let's do some scenarios. How about that? And we're going to start off with the bear side. Price is here, that red dot, 64.64. Okay. Now, this sets up very nicely for a short. We know 64.70 is our ultimate balance. You know that's a monster level. Okay. So, if the market does this, breaks the poor high of the overnights, right? And I know also 64.80 is a high volume node from the past. Even if it touches that, fine. If you don't find acceptance over that level and you come back through and retest, oh boy, and the market is not strong, yeah, you're going to go down. You're going to take out the overnight lows, that's that poor low, and you're going to test 64.50, the most traded price of yesterday. If you take that out, I think we revisit the 64.26s. If we take that out, we're going to go back to the 64.10s. Okay? That is a key short. That is a picture perfect short. Okay? Honestly, probably all I'm interested in right now looking at that. So, moving on to longs. Now, we're talking about longs here. Well, I'll give you my scenarios here. Okay? What I don't want to see. Well, actually, let me give you what I want to see first. All right, let's say we get a pullback. Let's say we break the overnight lows and clean this poor structure up, right? Get some excess. And we retest 64.50 is the most traded price of yesterday. Okay? I want to see if this is defended. If this is defended like this and just retests it, I would love to get a 64.70 target. Okay? It's about 20 points. I'd probably be done there. Now, gravy on top is if the market ripped up and started to hold it. Maybe we go up to 64.90. Maybe. But there's a lot of overhead supply above that level. Okay? There's a lot of overhead supply. Now, the other thing that I might want to be interested in, possibly, is if the market opens up really quickly and pushes down into 64.26s, and let's just say the market isn't that weak, and the market holds this, well, you might be able to get up into a nice long there. But this is my favorite setup for the long. I am biased to the short side, though. That's why I started off with the short side. So that's your ES. All right, let's move over to NASDAQ. Let's move over to the NASDAQ here. Okay. Here is our NASDAQ. Okay. And the NASDAQ, let's see here. Ooh, we got some nice levels here. Whew. All right. So let's talk about some levels. Right off the bat, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. Look at that. Have demand, most traded price of the week and yesterday, and the overnight lows of 2, 3, 4, 3 zeros is the level. Woof. That is a level and a half, boy. Okay? It's a beautiful level. Now, to the upside, you got 2, 3, 5, 3 5s, and a supply up here. Overnight highs, yesterday's highs. Man, are these levels. And then you got your 2, 3, 6s, the most traded price of the rolling month. Okay? You also have another key level here. Let's call it the 233s. You got demand all here, right there. That's the levels. That's as simple as it gets. Pretty easy. The market's making it for us to look at levels in the NASDAQ. Okay. Let me break out the session so you guys can see the price action of the NASDAQ right there. Okay. So NASDAQ's making it nice for us too. All right. So I'm really liking the structure. It's just that all this market not moving together all the time. Okay. That's what I'm saying. This market is not hard to read. It's hard to execute because the market isn't all moving down together. It isn't all moving up together. Okay. When you have a market that's kind of trending, it's easier to read. The moves are easier. Like it just feels like, man, when you're trending up in the markets, it's just like you feel real comfortable buying pullbacks. The market all works together. The moves are smooth, but this is not the case right now. Okay, so that's why it makes it harder. You got to be pickier. All right, so let's get right into scenarios. And remember, one thing important before I get into scenarios, I feel, and not more than I feel, I know, you should be charting NASDAQ and ES. I don't short yesterday if I didn't know the NASDAQ levels. I just don't short. Okay? NASDAQ gave me the confidence to short. All right? So it's very important to know. Remember, what's in the QQQ basically is 34% of the market cap weight in the S&P 500. I mean, it's crazy. All right? So I'm going to put it up. I think I put it up already, but I don't remember if I did or not, to be honest with you. This lack of sleep. All right. Let's get into scenarios. Now, this is a little different. I don't love the where we're at in the NASDAQ. We're in between the most traded price of the month and the week. We're in the middle, what I would consider more or less a chop zone. So, I want to see somebody in pain a little bit. And first thing I would go for, I'm going to have to talk about the long side. Because we're above 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros, okay, the market must defend 23430 in the NASDAQ for me to have a bullish bias. Okay, so what I'd like to see, even if it does this, pushes up, rejects, and then it comes into this demand zones. There's a couple demand zones here. And as long as this area gets defended and the market's not very weak, I'd be very comfortable of longing here, going for the overnight highs in that, remember that 235.35 area. That's yesterday's highs and the overnight highs. Let's say if we pulled back and then we could tap the 236s. That would be a very nice trade. Because I feel like we'll probably stay in this range because of tomorrow's unemployment in NFP. Okay? That's really the go-to for me for the NASDAQ. If we're underneath this level, that's going to tell me the market is weaker. And yes, can we pull back here? This has to be really quick for me. And then maybe get back bought up and maybe go to here at the end of the day. Maybe. But the other one is really the number one. Okay? So let's move on. Bear side. Okay, it's very easy as well. All right, there's two ones. There's two scenarios that I would probably like to see. Okay? Number one, this would probably be, let's just probably equal, I guess. Say, number one, if we did this, it's all I want to see. Remember, bulls need to defend us, but what if they don't? If we break this level, that is a big flag for the bears. Now, you're going to get games if you break it first sometimes. You might have to retest it to go down. Now, if we go down, we are going to probably revisit yesterday's lows, 23318s. Remember, I said 233s is key support. If the market just gets weak, we're going to go back to the 232s. Okay? We're going to go back. And that would be underneath this big ultimate balance, right? Underneath this ultimate balance level is bearish. Okay, all the longs up in there are going to be hurt. Now, what else can happen because we're in this chop zone? Well, let's just say we drive up into 236, most traded price of the month. I would expect some type of resistance there. Now, if the market's kind of neutral, it's not that strong, I wouldn't be against hitting this supply, coming under here, coming back to go somewhere in here and re-range bound for the rest of the day, waiting for tomorrow's data. Okay? Waiting for tomorrow's data. That's the plans today. Okay? Hopefully you enjoyed that analysis. If you did, smash the like button. Smash the like button. Show me some love, right? Show me some love, right? Now, we have a plan. Hope everybody stays green. No trade's a trade, right? That is a plan right there. That is called a trade plan. That's how I use my levels, my edge, to construct a plan. If you don't have that, you are blind. Okay? You don't have an edge. And that's not cruel, it's the truth. I used to have no edge. And I used to just be like, okay, cool, big green bar, I'm getting long. Big red bar, I'm getting short. Or big green bar, oh my God, I should be long, I'd be making this much money. Or big red bar, oh my God, if I would have shorted it here, oh my God. That says rookie all over it, right? No edge, no process, no game plan. If you don't have a way to put the market into some type of structure, then what are you doing? Right? And everything you see from me is a skill that I've sharpened over like 6 years. Okay? I used to look at this stuff and not have a game plan. I used to look at levels and be like, I don't know what to do. I don't know. What do I, my mentors would have game plans and I'd be like, that sounds beautiful and it makes sense, but I have no clue how we came up with that. And then I had to do this every morning, and I was horrible at it. And to eventually, oh, now I see the markets like it just makes sense to me. I don't even have to think about it. Okay? So hopefully what I'm showing you, you don't have to do what I do, but just show you that you have to have some type of process. Okay? Now, with that being said, please join me every morning. Get the market story from me. Okay? Get the market news, the economic calendar, leaders and the laggards, just why the market's doing what it's doing. Okay? It could be your morning coffee, your morning tea, you drive to work. Just listen. You're going to get information. You don't need to read anything. You got me. Okay? Now, if you want to take that to the next level, okay, the next level of granularity, right? You're going to go to my Discord, Confluence Trading. Okay? Go to my YouTube homepage, click on that link, sign up, get the weekly expected indicator for free. That ain't going to be free forever. Okay? It's a huge edge to have in your pocket. Wouldn't you like to have something that tells you, oh, that just hit its expected move to the upside. Maybe I won't go long. Oh, that hit the expected move to the downside. Probably not a lot more downside to this. Wouldn't you just like to have that in your pocket? If you do, sign up to my Discord. Okay? And you'll see live commentary. I'll give you videos. I'll give you audio messages. I'll show you my trades. Okay? Come in, ask questions. If you want me to go live, I need to see some interest to say, hey, are you going to go live today? I'd like you to go live. I will go live and I'll answer questions. So I think that's what I'm going to do lately. I might do a live thing tomorrow, maybe, or today. I'm not sure. If that shows enough interest, then I'll definitely do it. But right now, I'm kind of content of just like doing audio messages, updating with videos. All right. But like I said, I have no problems going live. All right. So anyway, enough of this diatribe. Everybody, have a great day. If I don't see you on my Discord, I'll see you tomorrow morning. All right. Take it easy, everybody.